This is my Central Pneumatic air compressor. It is a 2 horsepower, 8 gallon. It's like your standard Harbor Freight compressor. They used to sell these things for years and years. It's been super reliable up until now. So the last time I used it was last fall, and I was using it to undercoat a couple vehicles. So this thing was running for a day straight, and I checked the oil before and it was a little bit low, but I didn't have any of the correct compressor oil to put in it, so I put in some 1040 motor oil. And as you can see, the sight glass there, it's actually overfilled. So I want to get that old oil out of there, put in some fresh oil, and see if that fixes my issue. The compressor will fire up. It'll run for about 5 seconds, and then it'll stop running. And the only way to get it going again, that's on, that's off. So you would turn it off and then hit this circuit breaker a bunch of times and then turn it back on, and it would run for another 5-10 seconds, and then it would trip out again. So to me, it sounded like maybe I have an issue with the circuit breaker. Just pull that cover off, and here's the motor. The only thing I've done to it so far is I pulled out this bolt here and I cleaned up this contact. I wiggled it back and forth and tightened it back down again. Then I was gonna check out these connections here to see if there's any corrosion, but this one looked fine, so I just left this other one on there. This is the actual circuit breaker unit, and it is a 15 amp 125 or 240 volt. Obviously this is running on regular 125 standard household plug. So anyway, I'm gonna get this oil changed and see if putting it at the correct level with lighter oil solves my tripping out overload issue. Alright, and here's the oil that came out of the compressor. I don't know if you can see, but it's pretty much like honey. It's very, very thick oil. I'm really not sure why it's this thick. It's not really contaminated. There's no real metal or water or anything in here. This was outside, so that's why it has some water beads, but I watched it coming out and the oil looked fine to me. So anyway, I'm gonna tip this thing up and just get the very last drop out. You gotta kind of balance that carefully, but don't drop it either. But yeah, as you can see, it's coming out very thick there. I'm just gonna let this drain, and then we will flip back over and put in the new oil. According to this right here, you want it right in the center of that circle. As you can see, pretty much right in the center of that circle. So that is good. Put the fill cap in, and I think what I'll do is I'll plug it in and see if it builds pressure. Alright, well I'm just messing around with this a little bit more, and it doesn't seem to be working anymore. It still is popping this breaker. Back out here again today, working on the air compressor. Got this circuit breaker in off of Amazon. I think it was like $7 or $8. 15 amps, so it's the same 15 amp here. I'm gonna try throwing this in, and we'll see if that makes this compressor work again. Alright, on this circuit breaker here we have line and load. So I'm not an expert here, but I just did a quick Google search. This black wire here, this goes down into this main power feed. So that would be your line. That would be your line. And then the load is outgoing electricity here. So that would most likely be this red wire here that goes into the coil of the motor. So I'm going to wire it up that way. Hopefully it's right. If not, I can flip it around, I guess. But yeah, I'm going to go try to get these connectors on, and we'll be back in a minute.
Do what you do, get down on the floor, shake your body so nice. Everybody just get down in the place to be. Forget your cares at the door, most definitely. That's right. That's right. Yeah. Get it right.
Those are all stripped now. Let's see if I have the right size spade connector here. Oh man, I really need the yellow ones. Those are 10 gauge. I only have red, and these blue ones are the narrow terminals. Well, looks like I gotta run to the store. I'll be back. Picked up a pack of 10 gauge connectors, and I got the circuit breaker installed. I had to use the original lock nuts here because this hex was actually too big, so I couldn't actually turn it. It was hitting the side. I got the connectors crimped on, and as we can see, we have our load going to this red wire, which goes to the coil, and our line goes to this black wire here, which goes to our main power feed. So I think now it's ready to put the cover back on and connect it to power, and let's test it out. Well, I've cycled this about 5 or 6 times. It seems to be working really well. It hasn't tripped the circuit breaker once. So I think we're going to call this fix. That circuit breaker was definitely bad. There it is, installed. So if your Harbor Freight compressor isn't working anymore, don't throw it away. They really don't make them like this anymore. I've had this probably 10 or 12 years, and I just fixed it with a $8 part off of Amazon. So anyway, thanks for watching, and tune in next time.